how do you see racism, and an inability or unwillingness to talk about race and racism impacting the church today?
Yeah, it's a really big question, and I'll try to be careful to not go on too long here. The way I've thought about this is that race is not the only way to understand the American church, but if you don't account for race, you can't understand the American church. And this isn't because of any willful choice on any of our parts. It's just that we have each been born into what sociologists would describe as a racialized society. A society that has been organized around racial difference, such that different outcomes can be predicted by one's race or ethnicity. And this is documented far and wide. We don't need to get into that. But if that's just the kind of ground we are born onto, if that's just the air that we are breathing, then we have to reckon with that to understand both how our society works, but then also how we as Christians could be tempted to conform to what Paul calls the patterns of this world. Those patterns that kind of just blend into the background. We just assume them to be neutral and normal and natural when they're not, when they're bending us a certain kind of way. And this is one of the ways that race functions in this country. I would say that race is something that is not God-ordained, whose history you can kind of trace as a way of benefiting some at the expense of others, at creating kind of racial categories built first on kind of whiteness, and then with blackness on the other end of that spectrum, and then others in between. This is all constructed for the purpose of benefiting some while exploiting others, and that then just gets lost in the background. We just assume like, oh, this group of people lives here because they just like to be together. Well, no, actually, there's a history of federally backed housing segregation behind that, where some groups of people could build wealth from their housing, and other people lost a lot of generational wealth because of their housing options. That it's not just personal choice, that there is this pattern here.